Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. In this video, I'll tell you what the Democrats are up to and an important announcement they sent out this week that could indicate that they want to talk about or somehow include stimulus, because they actually did mention stimulus. I'll cover a rather interesting statistic about the Democrats' majority in the House, which has been the lowest it's been for well over 100 years. Yep, well over 100 years. You're going to find this quite surprising, which is, by the way, why the Democrats are a little bit scared about their significantly diminished House majority. And then I'll talk to you about an important comment from a Republican Senator, Tim Scott, who talked about the Democrats potentially turning the country into a socialist utopia. I'll actually give you a sense of what a socialist utopia looks like. Believe it or not, in the most expensive zip code in America, it costs $2.2 million a year to live in the most expensive zip code in America. Now, if that's not a socialist utopia, if that's not a capitalist utopia, I don't know what is. I'll be covering all those things in today's video. Let's just jump right in. So here's a tweet on your screen that was just reported by Jake Sherman at Politico about activities of the House. Here's an update from the House. There are no votes until Wednesday of next week. The House Democratic leadership says that lawmakers should spend next weekend in DC. This is interesting. Let's take a look at the message on your screen. Votes are no longer expected in the House on Monday, November 30th. And Tuesday, December 1st. First votes of the week will now occur next Wednesday at 6:30 in the evening. This is interesting. Now, here's what's even more interesting. Following last votes on Friday, members are encouraged to remain in Washington as conversations around legislation related to government funding, COVID relief, and NDAA are ongoing. These bills will be considered by the House as soon as they are ready. The House may complete legislative business early the week of December 7th. Keep in mind, the House has to complete this business to continue the funding of the government. And that week, by the way, of December 7th and then the next week, December 14th, is very important because by the 11th of December, there needs to be an extension of government funding. That's number one. On the 14th of December is when the Electoral College meets to award all the electoral votes to Joe Biden, and that's when the results will be official. So we have a very important 2.5 weeks coming up for the country. And here's another bit of news that's going to be very surprising as far as the Democrats are concerned. The Democrats probably don't want you knowing this. Here's a tweet on your screen from Jake Sherman, who retweeted Bruce Melman. And here's a chart on your screen that you'll see now in full screen. And this shows you that the Democrats have the smallest margin in the House since 1875. Yep, 1875. Back in 1875, the Democrats led in the House by nine seats. And now, in 2020, they lead by 9 seats. So you can see over the years, the Democrats have led by significant margins. And then, it was the Republicans who led by significant margins. So you'll see towards the bottom of that chart, that's where the Republicans have more seats in the House relative to the Democrats, and you'll see the top portion of the chart where you see that the Democrats have a higher majority. So right now in 2020, you'll see that the Democrats have the smallest margin in the House, the smallest lead, if you will, in the House since 1875. This is just incredible. This is the definition of a divided government. This is the definition of a razor-thin majority, a really small majority for the Democrats in the House. And depending on what happens in Georgia, which is why Georgia is so important, which is why I'll show you a segment, an interview with Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina on the importance of the Georgia Senate runoff races. So we'll get to that in just a second. But let's take a look at this chart on your screen one final time. This gives you a sense of how small the majority is for the Democrats. That's number one. Number two, how important the Georgia Senate runoff races are. And number three, it looks like President-elect Joe Biden is going to have to lead in a divided government. What that basically means is there needs to be cooperation from both sides for the country to move forward legislatively. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck. By the way, the fact that things kind of remain the way they are and they don't go too liberal or too conservative is why the stock market is going up, in addition to all the actions taken by the Federal Reserve. So now let's turn our attention to Georgia. By the way, I have done several videos on the importance of the Georgia Senate runoff races on the 5th of January. So make sure you check out our other videos where I've analyzed the two campaigns, where I've anticipated that $500 million, $500 million is going to be spent on the Georgia Senate runoff races. I've analyzed the ads by both candidates, so you can definitely check out that video. Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina was actually recently interviewed on Fox News, and he said some really important things about the state of the Georgia Senate runoff races and why it's important for the Republicans to win Georgia. Otherwise, Democrats will transform America into, I quote, a socialist utopia. Yep, that's what Tim Scott said. He talked about what's at stake in Georgia. He said it's going to be about controlling the legislative agenda for America. And he said these 2 Senate seats will be the most consequential of all time as far as the country is concerned. Pretty incredible comments. Also, he mentioned the socialist utopia comment. Let's take a look at this segment with Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, interviewed on Fox. Let's roll the tape.
So tell us, what's at stake in January in Georgia? It seems like a lot.
There's a whole lot at stake, Trey. There's no doubt when you think of the elections in Georgia, it's not simply controlling the Senate. It's controlling the legislative agenda for America. The 2 sides cannot be further apart. One side wants a $4 trillion tax increase, and the way you get that, win 2 seats in Georgia. Our side, lower taxes by more than $1 trillion. What that means, Trey, for the average person listening is a 60% increase in your taxes. For single moms, a 70% increase in your taxes. It means the ability to add more justices to the Supreme Court. We've had 9 justices for the last 150 years. They want to stack the courts so that they can continue to transform America into a socialist utopia. It just can't happen. When we win those 2 seats, we will be funding the police. Not what the Democrats want to do is defund the police. This is the most consequential 2 Senate seats in all of America at all time. We save the nation and continue to move in the right direction by having those 2 seats won by 2 Republicans on January the 5th. And I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to make that happen.
In the next segment, Tim Scott was asked about the president's role, President Trump's role in the Georgia Senate runoff races. He was asked, should the president step in and help Republicans win both Senate seats in Georgia? And this is what Scott said. He said, President Trump is the person that makes sure that those 2 Georgia seats remain in Republican hands. Pretty interesting. He talked about the importance of President Trump's influence, President Trump's huge influence on the Republican Party, on voters, on the African American community, and on by extension, the 2 Senate seats in Georgia. Let's roll the tape and see what the senator from South Carolina had to say.
There is only one giant in the party, and that is President Donald Trump. Donald Trump comes to our great state of Georgia, and here's what happens. President Trump has a chance to talk about his enormous support for historically black colleges and universities. One of the reasons why President Trump's African-American numbers went up by 50% this election cycle is because he brought the highest level of funding to HBCUs, made the funding permanent. He passed criminal justice reform, making up for the disaster of the 1994 crime bill brought to you by Joe Biden. He's the one who made sure that we focus on sickle cell anemia research. But for every single Georgian, he brought tax reform. He reset the regulatory state so that we created more jobs, not lost more jobs. President Trump is the person that makes sure those 2 seats remain in the Republican column in the Senate.
Now, in the final segment, again, emphasizing how important these 2 seats are for the Republicans. And Tim Scott said the firewall for America starts and ends with those 2 seats in Georgia. He talked about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren holding positions of influence within the administration, which, by the way, has not happened so far. What we've seen so far is that Joe Biden has essentially selected individuals who are more moderate, who are not too left-leaning, not too liberal. So far, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, because at the end of the day, this is all politics. But you can see Tim Scott talk about concerns with individuals like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. By the way, Elizabeth Warren at one point in time was talked about as being the person who would be nominated for the US Treasury Secretary, but as we know, it's Janet Yellen who has been nominated. I have done a couple of videos on Janet Yellen, so you definitely want to check them out. But let's go back to Senator Tim Scott's comments about the firewall for America, which starts and ends with those 2 seats in Georgia. Let's roll the tape.
Without any question, the end of the filibuster is if we lose these 2 seats, they destroy the filibuster so they can get those legislation priorities done. But more importantly, can you imagine Bernie Sanders as the chairman of the budget, or Elizabeth Warren on the banking committee becoming the subcommittee chairman? of the Consumer Protection and Financial Institutions, or Senator Hirono on the Judiciary Committee being the chairwoman of the Constitution. That's lights out for our nation. We have to have a firewall for America, and that firewall starts and ends with those 2 seats in Georgia.
And speaking of a socialist utopia, you'll see this article on your screen from Bloomberg. It takes $2.2 million a year to live in America's richest zip code. Yep, richest zip code. Florida's Fisher Island is the wealthiest zip code in the country, followed by Atherton in California. So what's happening is the richest zip codes in America, since we're talking about a socialist utopia or a capitalist utopia, the richest zip codes actually keep getting richer. On your screen, you'll see the wealthiest zip codes in the country, starting with Miami Beach at the top all the way to New York, which by the way is at the bottom of this list, believe it or not. So let's take a look at the wealthiest zip codes in the country. And Fisher Island, which by the way is a 216-acre barrier island near Miami, is the wealthiest zip code in the country. That's zip code 33109, with an average income in 2018, an average income of, can you guess? The average income was $2.2 million in that zip code. Yep. In second place was Atherton. The zip code is 94027. That's second place, Atherton, zip code 94027. And the average earnings in Atherton was $1.72 million a year. Yep. $1.72 million a year on average, because, if you make less than a couple $1 million a year, you're not rich enough to live there. And to be included among the top 100, a zip code needed an average income of $405,000 to be included in the top 100 zip codes in America. So here, again, on your screen, you have the wealthiest zip codes in the country, and this is happening simultaneously as more than 20 million individuals are on unemployment. Half of them are scheduled to lose unemployment at the end of the year because the PUA and the PUC programs have gone away, and individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality have in many cases lost their jobs permanently. And again, speaking of the socialist utopia, here's the geographical concentration of wealth all across the country. Now, this was reported by Bloomberg. We'll provide you with a link to the article in the description section below, so you can definitely check out this article. You'll see that in the Northeast, you have New York City. Obviously, in the West, you have Los Angeles County. In the South, you have Harris County in Texas. You have places in Florida. And in the Midwest, you have Cook County in Illinois. This is where wealth is concentrated across the country. And these areas, home prices have been increasing because these individuals have actually been getting richer as a result of more wealthy individuals wanting to move there. These are the kinds of people, when you Google, they are CEOs, they are owners of tech companies, they are actors, and they are major executives. And here's proof that these people actually got richer because home prices for the rich actually went up. It's called the COVID premium. On your screen, you'll see that home prices rose fastest in the richest 10% of US neighborhoods, with even larger increases in the top 300 and the top 100 zip codes. In other words, individuals who were who were buying a $20-30 million home, now they're buying $30-40 million homes. They were buying $40 million homes, now they're buying $50-60 million homes. So you can start to see this data here that shows you that home prices actually rose for the richest amongst us, and they can afford it. They just spent more money to buy better, bigger houses, or the same houses simply became more expensive than they were a year ago. I can tell you in my neighborhood, true story, there was a house that was on the market for $2 million in my neighborhood. And, to be completely honest, my wife and I were looking at it, but we weren't sure we wanted a house that was that big because, it was too big. And then I actually found out that someone paid $1.5 million in cash for that house, and then the house was sold. And I'm like, oh. But anyway, so that house, which was for $2 million, sold for $1.5 million cash in my neck of the woods. And finally, on your screen, you'll see the Bloomberg 2020 richest zip codes from number 1 through 100. These are the richest zip codes in the country. Like I mentioned earlier, that region near Miami Beach, Florida, that's the richest zip code. And the average individual there makes $2.2 million a year. The next was Atherton in California. You can see that on your screen. The average person there makes $1.7 trillion. So these are the 100 richest zip code. You'll see Palm Beach, Florida is third, Palo Alto, California, where all these tech companies and their employees are and their executives are, is fourth. Los Angeles is fifth, and so on and so forth. So this just tells you that there's definitely an imbalance in our system. You can decide whether this is a socialist utopia or not, like Tim Scott said, but I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Again, you'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please gently ignite that subscribe button and gently ignite that notification button. The name of our channel is Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. Get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to our SMS alerts list. You can opt out at any time. Now, if you want, you can get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You can get added to our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. So make sure you follow us on Twitter for breaking news and alerts. Speaking of alerts, sometimes YouTube does not always send out the alerts on time when we release new videos. There's a simple solution. All you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And you can visit the homepage of our channel and you can watch our videos at any point in time that you want. I encourage you to comment below, engage with our community. Our community is growing. It's very respectful. It's very intelligent. It's very bipartisan. For us, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. We are not Democrats. We are not Republicans. We are Americans first. So I want our viewers and subscribers to know that that is the unique part of our community. Now, you'll always find the links to all of our resources always in the description section below, so you can dig deeper into any of our sources on your own. Also, please share this video with friends and family if you learn something new. This way, others can also get access to the right kind of information. We don't believe in information that is too conservative or too liberal. We want to provide information that is fair, objective, and balanced as much as possible in this imbalanced world that we live in. Finally, if you learned something new from this video, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. And also, I would really appreciate it if you tell your friends and family about this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.